The days of handcrafted windows and doors, like those that were used in many of our landmark 1920s buildings, are mostly a thing of the past. That isn't such a bad thing, since those lovely old windows and doors tended to leak terribly and had to be boarded up at the beginning of the hurricane season. While Florida is a place where aluminum windows prevail, there's still a source for wood windows that blend the look of the old with the technology of today. So as part of the Preservation Foundation's Craftsmen Series, we're here in West Palm Beach visiting the Oliveri Window and Door Factory. And Angelina, Oliveri is the second generation.
Nice to meet you, Bob.
When did your family start the business?
We started here in 1981 as general contractors and mill workers. Mm-hmm. And then with Andrew coming in 1992 and testing becoming prominent for hurricane impact windows and doors, we've begun testing in the early 90s to develop impact rated windows and doors so we can help preserve these homes here in Palm Beach and around Florida.
So now you just make them, you don't install them?
We also install.
Oh, you do?
We're
That's
a
great.
full service turnkey company.
So we're talking about windows and doors, and I was
Yes.
just talking about the beautiful old windows from the late 19th and 20th century. What do you make today to replicate that?
So we here have a French casement or a casement window, and it's a French casement because you have no middle bar here, and it owed to what you'd see in Europe to get the breeze in. You have a concealed hinge here, so you can cover, that's an architectural preference. And what's really unique to our company is our testing and how far we've tested to make a narrow rail and style. So that is
the narrowness of the actual frame of the window.
Yes.
Okay.
Meisner and Fascio had done a very narrow pine
Right.
window. So we're doing this here in mahogany, and it is the rails and stiles are all very narrow. You're showing a stained window here.
Right.
On the backside of the sample is paint.
Right.
Yep.
Excellent. So this one, which is painted, has divided lights?
Yeah, so they're simulated divided lights.
Simulated.
Yep, and the reason why they're simulated is that it's actually one piece of glass here, and this is a hard, they call this a sticking to the outside and a removable to the inside. And this design could be whatever the architect would like.
So in an old window, you would have had 3 individual pieces of glass, and these would have been called muttons that would separate them. Today we have one solid piece of glass all the way up and down, but then these are just applied to make it look like the old ones.
Exactly.
Is it the same kind of hinging system?
So this hinging system is slightly different. So you have a butt hinge on this unit, which is more traditional.
Right.
The unique part about this sample here is that we have a friction or a brake stay on it to stop the window from blowing
in the wind.
Yes.
Yes.
And that way you will not lose a window due to the strong winds here we have from our oceans.
Sure. Just like in a European hotel, though. It's lovely.
Yes.
And then the other traditional type of window would have been a double hung sash like we still see all over in the north.
Yes.
But how is this different?
So this is a double hung. We also do a single hung, a triple hung, and a double hung sashway and chain. The weights are a steel weight that counterbalance it, and you have a sash pulley that will pull the window sashes up and down, which is extremely traditional, how we would make double hungs in the past.
Yeah.
Also simulated divided light here.
Yes.
And with the functioning part being over here.
Exactly, in the weight pockets. But
Yes.
this is Class A. I mean, with chains, and the old ones would have been ropes and pig iron, and the ropes would break, and then people would stop using the window.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these are repairable as well. We have pockets so we can go inside
Right.
and fix the weights and the chain.
What about doors?
So we have doors over here.
So these are pretty monumental doors.
Yes, this is like a grand entrance or a patio set for a loggia area.
Yeah.
Here you have the multi-point hardware on the side. It's a 5-point locking system from Ultimate Security. And then also this door sits flat, so you can get the breezeway for a loggia area.
Ah, so easy access.
Easy access. This door is made of solid mahogany, which is the Palm Beach used to be made of all southern pine.
Yeah.
We now make a mahogany product here that helps resist against bugs.
Yep.
And this is coming from Africa, this mahogany.
Oh, so it's not mahogany from the islands.
No, that is no longer available, so we only do an African mahogany.
Can we take a look at the raw stock?
Yes, our Sipo mahogany is outside.
Sure.
Well, Bob, I'd like to meet my father, Russ Oliveri.
Hey, Russ.
Founder of the company.
Pleasure to meet you.
Great to meet you. So we were just talking about using mahogany. Whatever happened to Dade County pine?
Well, Dade County pine basically was used up really by the 50s.
Really?
And we started to basically look for various different materials to use. Mahogany basically because of its grain, making it very strong.
Yeah.
It's got the fiber bending very, very close to Dade County pine.
Yeah.
And the color.
Right.
Okay, it's gorgeous. Also, the bugs don't like to eat.
So is this from the Caribbean? No, you said it's African mahogany.
Yes, we use Sipo mahogany from Africa now.
Excellent.
Yes.
So where does the process begin?
Process every morning, Bob. Material is taken from the yard, brought in, and brought here to be milled. Okay, so this is where the real magic starts. This is a joiner, and we take a raw piece of mahogany like this, get 2 straight edges on it, and then feed it through a thickness planer. Why do we bother doing this? The only way you can get straight edges and a flat board is still by hand. There is no automation that will do this. We make blanks that are then put on the CNC, and they are brought down to thousandths. We can talk about tolerances the way you would in a metalworking shop, here in this woodworking shop, because of doing this and incorporating it into the new technology of the CNC.
This is the part that they finish with and they send over to the CNC at the end.
This process of straightening a board goes back to the time of them being able to harden the edge of a piece of steel and actually use it to cut in a plane or a drawer box. This machine now basically incorporates a motor, but it's the same theory. You push the board over the blade. This table is a little lower than this table, and you develop a straight edge from any board that has a curve in it. You do this on 2 sides and then feed it through the machine over here, which is a thickness planer. The thickness planer will take it down within approximately 1/4 of an inch of the size that it's going to be finished. Then it goes to the CNC taking it down within thousandths. That's how we get the tolerances in a woodworking shop that you'd normally expect only in a metalworking shop.
And what do you call this machine?
Well, this is a SCM CNC router. This machine is designed to profile the wood and cut for all of the needed hardware. What will
So
happen,
this is like a giant router,
it is exactly that, a giant router, computer controlled.
and the router moves over the wood to make all the cuts.
The gantry basically moves so that essentially the tools follow and cut as needed.
So what are these 2 big pieces of wood components for?
These 2 components are for a lift and slide, which is going to be 35 feet long, incorporating a 6x10 panel.
So you're talking about a giant sliding door.
Giant
And
sliding
you call
door,
it a
yes.
lift and slide
Lift
because
and
the
slide.
hardware allows you to, for the flick of a wrist, lift the whole heavy thing and slide it.
Exactly. These panels will weigh upwards of 650 pounds, and you'll be able to manipulate them with one hand.
Amazing.
So here you see John dry fitting the same parts that we were just making on the CNC. What John's going to do basically is set the bottom rail mortise into tenon. You'll notice what you saw the machine doing basically was cutting the bottom rail through on the end of your stile. So what's going to happen here is that what we call the bogies, or the wheels basically for the lift and slide, will be inserted in this. Pitch it up.
And there you have it, a fully assembled unit. So we have our finishing process over here. It's a 5-step finishing process, starting with a sealer to seal in the mahogany to stop any bugs getting in or any intrusion or mahogany bleed. Then you put over a primer, then you do a sanding coat, then you prime again, then you will sand, and then you will put your first finish coat, sand again, then you will put your second coat, then you will put your top coat on.
The door is laid horizontally basically so that the paint lays down better. In production paint basically doors are hung and they're sprayed vertical. What that creates at the end in the end finish is a orange peel effect that you can't get away from. By doing it this way, it is twice as long, twice as difficult, but you get an extraordinarily flat finish. In many cases, we'll get to a flat finish, and then depending on the architect, they may require that we actually simulate hand painting and brush it at the end. But in any case, this is the best finish that you're going to find on a door and window any place in the world.
I'd like to show you the glazing area over here and how we use glass to incorporate into our product.
So the glazing refers to installing the glass into the wood window frame.
Exactly. We do a wet glaze process here, that we insert the glass into the frame, and I would like to show you a piece of impact glass.
So
An
impact
example.
glass was developed, as you said earlier, after the great Hurricane Andrew.
It's marrying technologies together.
Yeah.
So what this is a plastic inner layer that we get, and then this is a clear piece of glass and a clear piece of glass, and we sandwich them together to get that strength of
Now,
the impact glass.
when they test this, they actually fire a 2x4 at it, don't they?
They fire a 9-pound 2x4 at 35 miles an hour out of an air cannon. And this is designed basically to simulate a flying piece of debris hitting the window.
In a hurricane.
In a hurricane. After that, basically, it's then cycled, which means essentially they simulate a hurricane by putting it up on a wall, putting blowers behind it, and cycling it 9,000 times,
Unbelievable.
simulating a hurricane coming and leaving. It's
Unbelievable.
amazing, Bob.
Now, Angelina, the technology of the glass is also important because it has UV filtering.
Yes, we have a piece right here, Bob, that shows a low E film. So the low E film is important to protect your artwork, your rugs. It lowers the UV light that's coming into your home, and that will be determined based on an energy calculation for your home.
And Russ, I'm looking at a piece of what looks to be antique leaded glass. What's the story with that?
Bob, this is a client's collection of antique leaded glass. This is actually designed now to fit in the back of the window, basically, so that this basically will be protected and will have a hurricane impact glazing to the weather, and this on the inside.
This will be on the
doors.
inside of the
Yes.
house.
Yeah, so you have a full
Fantastic.
impact rated unit. And we set a nice little trim piece on top, so it looks like it's been there forever.
It's beautiful. So Angelina and Russ, thank you so much for giving us the tour. It's so great to see how you're blending the newest technology with an antique element like this.
Bob, thank you for having us, and thank you for coming to our family's operation.
Okay.
Thanks again, Bob.
Great.